Hello, welcome back to my channel, Mel Stampin' Gallery. I'm Melanie, your close to my heart maker. And today's layout was inspired by these photos of my three granddaughters and a title that I had rattling around in my brain for a while, and for some reason it just kept going through my brain. These girls stole my heart. So what I wanted to do was create a title using that, and I did that here. I created this title actually just in Cricut Design Space, sorry, and just simply using different text boxes and fonts and a couple heart images that I found. Created an offset and then just finally figured out the color of cardstock I wanted to use and then adhered that all together. And to kind of emphasize the word heart, I've been wanting to do this for a while, so what I did was I just cut out a large heart shape in Cricut Design Space to use that as an overlay, and the piece that was cut out, then you see here, I just took the different colors of cardstock and adhered them on the heart the way in the order that I wanted, and I got those colors. If you look at my one granddaughter here in her shirt, look at those vibrant colors, the tie-dye of her shirt. So I thought that went really well and with the photo. Now the colors, even though it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different colors of cardstock, it's really 4, because the good thing about the Close to My Heart cardstock, as you may recall, is that it actually is double-sided. So it has a light side and then the dark side, which is the true color. So I adhered those down to my heart shape, and then when I looked at that, I thought that I wanted to give it a little bit more texture, so I actually went ahead and I did some stitching. To do the hand stitching, I could do it on my machine. I do have a machine, but I don't like the way my machine stitches. It's kind of old and the tension isn't great, so you can never really see it that well. So what I do for the stitching is flip my mat over to the spongy side, and I've got my Close to My Heart T-square ruler, and the T-square ruler has these little holes in it. So if you line your cardstock up, make sure it's straight the way you want it, and I'm just going to do this real quick. Get a pin, and you can do it several different ways. You can go smaller along the top or along the bottom. Just has the wider spaces that are wider in between each hole, and you just poke with your pin through all those holes. And then when you go to do your stitching, then you can do your stitching through the holes that you've already got there. For this one, can you see that right there? I've got like a zigzag stitch, and if you notice on the ruler, can you see the red line that goes in a zigzag? So the same thing, if you put your T-square ruler down and you just follow those red lines back and forth and poke your holes. When you're done, then you can go ahead again and do your stitching by following those holes, and then you've got your zigzag. And like I said, I don't like doing it on my machine. I like the look of this wider embroidery thread here. So I've got that stitching done. That's how you do that in a nutshell. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my heart overlay and just lay it down on my mat. And then I have my heart piece that I've already stitched and adhered all the glue down. Now the one thing that I did, you know, you want to let your pieces overlap, hang over the edge of the heart. And I actually should have left a little bit more before I cut it off. I trimmed it too close to the edge, but it'll still work out okay. And then I'm just going to slide this under here, under my overlay, and just kind of finagle it until it gets, till the covers up all the raw edges. And that's why I wish I had left it a little bit longer. Now I went ahead and put a little liquid glue along the edges And just to give it a little bit more stability, I think I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to cut down a piece of my white cardstock to just put it on the back to give it a little bit more stability, but I don't need it to be exactly 12 by 12. So I think I'm going to cut an inch off on the two sides. Again, I'm just trying to cover up that heart and give it a little bit of stability in the back. And that should also help on the places where the glue didn't quite get to the edges. So let's see, I've got that cut down an inch on each side. And if I bring my heart piece in again, let's put it right there on top of my all-purpose mat. And yeah, I just need to make a frame right there to kind of hold that all together. Now when I flip this over, you see the back? That gives it, like I said, a nice stable backing. And it also helps when I go to slide it into the page protector, it's not going to catch on all those threads on the back. So I've got that flipped over like that. So let's start laying out the title and so forth. And other than this, actually the layout has been kept pretty simple. So like I said, I've got the title. These girls stole my heart, because of course they did. How can they not? So this is my youngest granddaughter, if you can't tell. That's my son's daughter. And these two little girls are my daughters. The little one here, the middle one, she, for some reason, has started sticking her tongue out and making funny faces when we take her picture. But that's part of the charm, right? Now, before I adhere the title down, I like the way this is all laid out. And down here, I don't want to put a whole lot because I think that's where I'm going to put a little bit of journaling right there. I wanted a little bit of a splash of color. So I think I'm going to take that, bring in some of that dark pink color. And I've got my blending brush. I picked up a little bit of the ink. And because I don't want it to be quite so vivid, I'm going off on my scratch paper first. I'm getting a lot of that off. And then I'm just going to move this aside and very gently rub from the center going outward. Okay. And then when I put the title over that, it kind of makes it pop just a little bit more. So I got to thinking about it, and after I did this, and I know I have the title goes there, and I thought, why don't I do some faux stitching around the edge of the heart to make it all look like it was just to carry through that stitching. And I just am taking a black fine tip marker, and I'm just drawing little dashes all around the heart. And I'll finish that up and I'll come back and show you the result. All right, I've finished the faux stitching all around the heart, and I really like the way that came out. It seems like that's just what it needed for that extra little added touch. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the title up here. And when I sponged it, it made some smearing up there, but that's okay. It's going to get covered up by the title. And I think I'm just going to use some mono. I thought about putting it on pop-up dots, but really the title itself, because it's made of a couple of layers, has enough dimension to it. And, you know, you don't want to get too much dimension in your pages. Or maybe you do. I like a lot of dimension, but in the stitching, obviously, is going to give it a lot of dimension as well. So I'm just using some Tombow liquid glue, and I'm just going to kind of put that in an angle right about there. Scoot it up a little bit because I want to see some of that purple in there still. Or not purple, pink. Like a raspberry color. There you go. Now I've got the one photo adhered down. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this other one, and because of all the stitching giving it some dimension, it was too hard to put the photos down on just the regular tape runner like I normally do, so I did end up putting those on some thin foam tape and pop them up so they would adhere. I didn't put them all the way to the edges so I could put some embellishments under there if I want to, but I'm keeping it really simple. Now I've got some of the flower shapes and leaves that I have from the As You Grow stamp set that I used in one of my previous layouts. And I've just got it stamped on really some scratch paper. And I'm just placing them around here to see if those will look okay or not. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp it on the regular white daisy. And I think, like I said, I'm just going to keep that simple. Put a couple of the leaves here and add some journaling, and we'll see how that looks. Now I've gone ahead and I have stamped the images that I want on my white daisy cardstock, and I kind of tested out a little bit there what I wanted to do. And actually what I want to do is I took some re-inkers, just put a few drops, and yes, you can put it in the lid of your ink pad, but I actually like doing this now lately. And I get a little bit of water. Actually, the more water you get, excuse me, the lighter the color. And pick up some of that ink, and then you just yeah, add your color. And I like using this watercolor lately because I don't have to worry about the shading and so forth. And I'm gonna go ahead, let's see, do another leaf here for you. Let's get a little bit more water, dab it off on the paper towel, and just, yeah, I like that one better. It's a little bit more washed of a color. All right, let's try the big one. And I think I want a lot of water on that one. So, ooh, that's kind of vibrant. Let's test it out here. That might be a little too red. It's a little too red. It looks like blood. All right, so I'm going to try this again. I did this while you were away, but remember I said it looked like blood. The thing you got to remember about watercolor is it dries a lot differently than and it looks different when it's dry than when it's wet. And I think that color does bring out that raspberry color there. So I'm going to try to make a couple of the flowers maybe a little darker. But like I said, excuse me, the more water you add, the lighter it is. So let's keep adding some water in there. And then let's blot it. I'm afraid. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it'll be all right. When it dries, it'll look good. Right now it looks like lipstick. But I think it'll be all right when it dries. And then I can put some of the lighter colors on top of it. All right, let me finish that off and I'll come back. Okay, so while I was gone, I got all the images die cut out and I've kind of finagled with them, got them in place where I want them. So now all I have to do is put them down, and I am using again, the liquid glue so that I can move it around before it dries. I'm just going to stick that one under there. And I thought it needed some of the flowers up here just to kind of bring it all together. So putting some there. And let's work on this one over here. Little liquid glue. Put it right there, kind of covers up that kind of that empty space on that picture too. So then just kind of start building this here. And then the leaves can slide underneath. And I've got this one here. We'll slide that one under there. Okay, and yeah, I think that looks pretty good so far. Okay, yeah, it's just about done. Had this little tiny heart from the stamp set, and I think I'm going to put it in that light pink color, just in a couple of places around there to reinforce that heart theme. And then let's put one, oh, let's see, down here at the bottom, this other side of the floral cluster. I think that looks good. And I've got the centers of the flowers. I don't like to leave them if I can help it. So I've got a couple of these bitty sparkles. I'll put on each one of these yellow ones. And here it is. I had another one somewhere. Just lift that up with the tip of my scissors. Well, usually. And let's put that one on that yellow flower. So now I think that about does it. I think I'm going to call that one done. I really like the way this turned out. Simple as far as the embellishments. The stitching does take a little bit of time, but I just sat in front of the TV last night while my husband was watching Gold Rush and did my stitching while I'm sitting there watching TV. I'm just going to add a little bit of journaling down there, and then this layout will be done. So if you're still with me, thank you so much for joining me. For still shots of this page, you can find those on my social media pages, which are linked in the description box down below, along with all the supplies to purchase on my website. Don't forget, when you go to that description box, if you want to find those links, hit that bolded word that says more, and that will expand that description box and you can see all the links there. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know what kind of videos you like to watch, and it will put more of those kind of videos in your feed, and it also helps my little channel grow too. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. I do try to upload once a week. So like I said, if you're still with me, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.